Tell me a little bit about your fear.
I don't sleep well at night when my husband's away working.
Yep.
But if he's at home, I don't have a problem.
So how often is he away?
3 nights one week, 2 nights another week.
So it's a bit of a problem really, because you lack of sleep.
Lack of sleep.
Yeah. And it's a fear.
It is a fear.
And
like if I hear something, anything, I'm like, and my heart starts to race, and I hold the phone just in case I need to dial something. I check on the kids.
So it's pretty high. So out of 10, what would you say it is, 10 being the worst?
Nearly there.
Nearly 10, okay.
Yeah, because it's not good, like my heart will race, I will sweat. And it could be just a leaf on the roof that I hear.
Just start tapping here when you tell me the story. Okay, so when is the first or worst time that you ever felt that fear of being by yourself? Whether it's recent or way back when you were little, that you got left alone?
I've just always, I think,
you've always
when I was a kid I didn't really have it, I don't think, because, you know, someone was around all the time.
Okay, so let's go to your first experience where you felt that then.
I can't even remember the first, probably once I started living alone. Not like alone, but, you know, moved out into a unit and we're...
Yep, so you had it before your husband?
Yes.
Yes, it hasn't happened since
well and truly before.
Okay, so even though, you just repeat after me, even though I have this fear of being alone, especially at night time, when my husband's not home, and I really don't know where it's coming from,
and I really don't know
when it first started, but I think it started when I moved out of home, and I love and accept myself, and all these feelings that I'm having, about feeling fearful, about being alone. Even though I have this huge fear.
I have a huge fear.
Do you have something that's coming up?
I just remembered.
Yeah, good. That's good.
It just came into my head that when I was at boarding school,
yes,
someone unknown, male, walked into our dorms.
Okay. So even though all the way back then, when I attended boarding school, there was a male that I didn't know, that came into my room, and I felt scared, and it took me by surprise. So maybe I took on that fear back then in that dorm room. Was it at night time?
Yes.
At night time. To be fearful. Something might happen. That I'm not ready for. Something that's going to surprise me. So I need to be on guard. Just in case something happens. That I'm not sure of. I love and accept myself. And all my feelings around this. Even though when I was younger, when I was in my dorm room, at night time, by myself, a strange man came into my room, and it gave me a fright, and from that day, I've had a fear, that someone or something might frighten me at night time. Especially when I'm by myself. I love and accept myself. And all my feelings that I'm having. Even though I think that it's coming from that day. That night. When that stranger. That man. Came into my room. And frightened me. And took me off my guard. I think that it's trapped in my body. That fear. That fear of the surprise. Something may happen. Something unexpected may happen. And I'm really fearful that may happen when I'm alone by myself at night time. I'm taking on that fear into my adulthood that I took on board when I was that young woman in that boarding room that night. He took me by surprise. He frightened me. And I froze that fear into my body. Now when you're picturing that story again, can you feel that anywhere in your body? That fear. that frightened you.
Maybe just
in your stomach.
Yeah.
And what's it feel like? Does it feel nauseous? Does it feel swirling? Does it feel hard?
Just that tight feeling.
That tight feeling.
Yeah.
Okay. Even though
I
have this tight feeling.
I have this tight feeling
in my stomach.
In my stomach.
When I think of that night.
When I think of that night.
In my dorm room.
In my dorm room.
All by myself.
All by myself.
When an unexpected male.
When an unexpected male.
Came into my room.
Came into my room.
It gave me a fright.
It gave me a fright.
It was unexpected.
It was unexpected.
And I have frozen that time.
And I have frozen that time.
That moment.
That moment.
In my stomach.
In my stomach.
And it's fearful.
And it's fearful.
And I have this fear of being alone now.
And I have this fear of being alone now.
Especially when my husband's not at home.
Especially when my husband's not at home.
Even though
I
have this fear.
I have this fear.
This unexpected fear.
This unexpected fear.
Trapped in my stomach.
Trapped in my stomach.
From all the way back then.
From all the way back then.
When I was in my dorm room.
When I was in my dorm room.
Minding my own business.
Minding my own business.
Not expecting anyone to walk in.
Not expecting anyone to walk in.
When this strange man walks in.
When a strange man walks in.
And he gave me a fright.
And he gave me a fright.
And all that fear.
And all that fear.
Is stuck in my stomach.
Is stuck in my stomach.
From all the way back then.
From all the way back then.
And I choose to release and dissolve it today.
And I choose to release and dissolve it today.
And I'm safe to do so.
And I'm safe to do so.
That happened all the way back then.
That happened all the way back then.
I'm safe now.
I'm safe now.
I'm an adult now.
I'm an adult now.
No one's going to walk into my room.
No one's going to walk into my room.
So it's safe for me to release that fear.
So it's safe for me to release that fear.
All that frozen fear.
All that frozen fear.
That is trapped in my stomach.
That is trapped in my stomach.
That I took on board.
That I took on board.
From that unexpected man.
From that unexpected man.
That walked into my room.
That walked into my room.
And frightened me.
And frightened me.
All that unexpected frightened feeling.
All that unexpected frightened feeling.
No wonder I don't like being alone by myself at
night.
No
wonder I don't like being alone by myself at night.
I took that on board.
I took that on board.
I froze that in my stomach.
I froze that in my stomach.
And I didn't release it.
And I didn't release it.
And I've been carrying that my whole life.
And I've been carrying that my whole life.
No wonder I'm frightened at night time.
No wonder I'm frightened at night time.
He frightened me back then.
He frightened me back then.
And I didn't process it.
And I didn't process it.
I just shoved it down to my stomach.
I just shoved it down to my stomach.
And that's where it's been sitting.
And that's where it's been sitting.
All these years.
All these years.
But I'm choosing today.
But I'm choosing today.
To let my body know.
To let my body know.
It's safe to release it.
It's safe to release it.
It's safe to release that fear.
It's safe to release that fear.
That's frozen in time.
That's frozen in time.
In my stomach.
In my stomach.
I have no need for it.
I have no need for it.
There's no need to be frightened.
There's no need to be frightened.
I have children in the house with me.
I have children in the house with me.
I'm not alone.
I'm not alone.
I'm not all by myself.
I'm not all by myself.
And I'm a big girl.
And I'm a big girl.
And I can look after myself now.
And I can look after myself now.
I think I trapped that frightened feeling.
I think I trapped that frightened feeling.
In my stomach.
In my stomach.
Because it was unexpected.
Because it was unexpected.
It was that unexpected frightened feeling.
It was unexpected frightened feeling.
That I felt.
That I felt.
When that strange man walked in the room.
When that strange man walked in the room.
All the way back then.
All the way back then.
In that dorm room.
In that dorm room.
Maybe it's safe for me to let it go.
Maybe it's safe for me to let it go.
Maybe my body was trying to protect me.
Maybe my body was trying to protect me.
Because it thought I was in danger.
Because it thought I was in danger.
So it put me into freeze mode.
So it put me into freeze mode.
It's either fight, flight or freeze.
It's either flight, fright or freeze.
And I went into freeze.
And I went into freeze.
Into fear.
Fear.
And I chose to trap that in my stomach.
And I chose to trap that in my stomach.
Where I've been carrying it.
Where I've been carrying it.
For all these years.
For all these years.
No wonder I don't feel safe at night time.
No wonder I don't feel safe at night time.
Because I didn't think it was safe that night.
Because I didn't think it was safe that night.
Because it was unexpected.
Because it was unexpected.
And it frightened me.
And it frightened me.
And it put the fear in me.
And it put the fear in me.
And I've been carrying that around.
And I've been carrying that around.
But I'm an adult now.
But I'm an adult now.
And now that I'm tapping on this.
And now that I'm tapping on this.
I can see where this is coming from.
I can see where this is coming from.
And it's safe for me to let it go.
And it's safe for me to let it go.
Because that was a long time ago.
Because that was a long time ago.
And no one else has walked into my room since.
And no one else has walked into my room since.
That was a one-off.
That was a one-off.
And maybe he was just lost.
And maybe he was lost.
Maybe he didn't know he was coming into my room.
Can we stop?
Yep. Yep. So go back here. Go back here. Good. Another aspect.
Another one was when I was home in a unit, someone had come into the unit while I was home.
At night time?
At night time, again.
And you're alone?
And I was alone. I didn't know they were there.
Okay.
Until we got up in the morning and the keys were gone and the wallets were gone.
Okay. Alright, so even though history repeated itself. And it happened to me again. No wonder I'm frightened at night time. I went into freeze again. When someone was in my unit. And I did not know they were there. Not until the morning. When my keys and wallet were stolen. But it left this fearful feeling in my stomach. A violated feeling in my stomach. Someone's in my space. And I felt that all the way back in my dorm room. That night. With that strange man. And I felt it again. In that unit. That morning. After I knew they were there at night time. No wonder I have a fear at night time. And being alone. I had 2 incidents to confirm. That surprising things could happen at night time. Even though I now know where it's coming from. And it's really understandable that I have this running. I had a couple of incidents that proved that it's not safe. And I was obviously very fearful about it. Because I've taken this pattern into my adulthood. And I was storing it in my stomach. All this fear. That it's not safe. For me to be home by myself. At night time. All the way back to that unit. When someone came in. And I did not know. All that fear from that time. They were in my space. And I didn't even know. Something could have happened. It didn't. But something could have happened. Yeah, it could have. And that's running over in my head. So what if someone breaks in now? I've been lucky twice now. What if something happens this time? What if something scary happens this time? I've already had it happen twice. And get away with it. Without being harmed. But it goes over in my head. What about next time? If there's a next time, I won't be so lucky. Does that feel about right? Yeah?
Yes.
Do you think that?
Yes.
All that fear.
I
can't let go of that fear. It's happened. I have every right to feel that. I can't let go of that fear. It's protecting me. It's keeping me alert. So if it happens again, I'm ready. I've got that phone in my hand. I'm going to be prepared this time. I wasn't prepared last time. What if it happens again? I'm frightened of that. That unexpected frightened feeling. And I wasn't prepared. I'm going to be prepared this time. No wonder I don't like being home by myself at night time. But maybe, just maybe, my body can help me out today. And help me release that fear. That is trapped in my stomach. That was keeping me safe. It was for a purpose. But I no longer need it. It's not serving me. Lack of sleep doesn't do well with me. And the fear's not good for me either. Fear and anxiety is not good for my body. I choose to release it today. I choose to go back and dissolve it. All the way back to that dorm room. I don't know why he came in. Do you?
No.
No, I don't know why he came in. Maybe it was just a silly mistake. Wrong door. But He was drunk. Which frightened me even more. It's understandable that I was frightened. But it's not understandable. That his silly mistake. Is making my life suffer. On a nightly basis. So maybe I can forgive him. As a silly drunk man. That opened the wrong door. That frightened me to death. That put me into freeze mode. And trapped that fear in my stomach. Maybe I can let it go. It was a silly accident. And I've taken it on. As my own.
As my own.
And he probably doesn't even remember that he did that.
He probably doesn't even remember that.
So why should I hold this in my body?
So why should I hold this in my body?
It was probably just a silly mistake.
Just a silly mistake.
I'm telling my body.
I'm telling my body.
It's okay to release and dissolve that.
It's okay to release and dissolve that.
Fear.
Fear.
And anxiety.
And anxiety.
Out of my stomach.
Out of my stomach.
And let's go back to the unit.
Let's go back to the unit.
When I slept all through the night.
I slept through the night.
And I didn't even know they were there.
And I didn't even know that they were there.
But I felt like that they were in my space.
And I felt like they were in my space.
Like I was violated.
Like I was violated.
Even though I didn't know they were there at the time.
Even though I didn't know that they were there at the time.
I felt violated.
I felt violated.
It brought all those feelings up from the dorm room.
It brought all those feelings up from the dorm room.
I went back into my stomach.
I went back into my stomach.
Into that fear freeze mode.
Into that fear freeze mode.
Which only cemented my pattern even more.
Which only cemented my pattern even more.
It even cemented that pattern even more.
It even cemented that pattern even more.
I had every right to feel that.
I had every right to feel that.
That was frightening.
That was frightening.
But maybe I can forgive them too.
But maybe I can forgive them too.
Maybe, maybe why they stole from me, not that it was right. To say not that it was right.
Not that it was right.
But maybe there was a reason behind it.
They needed rum.
Oh, okay. Did they steal rum, or you found out why?
No, it was the people underneath the house, underneath the unit.
And were they teenagers or were they old?
They would have been about my age, so past teenagers, 20s.
Okay. Why do people do that?
Why do people do that?
I can't comprehend.
I can't comprehend.
I would never do that.
I would never do that.
It frightens me.
It frightens me.
If grown adults can do something like that.
If grown adults can do something like that.
Then it can happen again.
Then it can happen again.
Am I safe?
Am I safe?
I don't feel safe.
I don't feel safe.
It's already happened twice.
It's already happened twice.
I have a fear of being broken into.
I have a fear of being broken into.
Especially at night time.
Especially at night time.
And it's definitely going to happen when my husband's not at home.
And it's definitely going to happen when my husband's not at home.
That's why I'm frightened when he's not at home.
That's why I'm frightened when he's not at home.
Because I'm telling myself.
Because I'm telling myself.
That it's not safe.
It's not safe.
At night time.
At night time.
At home by myself.
At home by myself.
I've got this pattern.
I've got this pattern.
Running.
Running.
From all the way back then.
From all the way back then.
And I'm choosing.
And I'm choosing.
To release and dissolve it today.
To release and dissolve it today.
It's okay to feel safe.
It's okay to feel safe.
What would it feel like?
What would it feel like?
To be home by myself at night time.
To be home by myself at night time.
And feel safe.
And feel safe.
What would it feel like?
What would it feel like?
That would be a nice feeling.
That would be a nice feeling.
I haven't felt that for a very long time.
I haven't felt that for a very long time.
I choose to release and dissolve my stories.
I choose to release and dissolve my stories.
Those events that happened back then.
Those events that happened back then.
Because it's not serving me now.
Because it's not serving me now.
And I choose to release them from my stomach.
And I choose to release them from my stomach.
That fear.
That fear.
That anxiety.
That anxiety.
That got frozen.
That got frozen.
In that time.
In that time.
Place and space.
Place and space.
All the way back then.
All the way back then.
I choose to release and dissolve it.
I choose to release and dissolve
from all the way back then.
From all the way back then.
And into my future.
And into my future.
And into the present moment.
Into the present moment.
Deep breath. Take a couple of deep breaths. So how right did any of that feel?
Yes.
Yep. Yep. So if you close your eyes now and go back to your dorm room, and even if you can be the person standing on the outside and looking at yourself and see what you were wearing, and yeah. So just be in the moment and picture him however he did it, storming in or stumbling in or whatever he did.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your reaction to that now?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter? Nothing? There's no fear there?
No.
You don't feel anything, like even like now, not back then, when you think about that, how does your stomach feel? Is there anything in your stomach?
No.
No? Okay, so close your eyes, go back into your unit, and I'm guessing it's when you woke up in the morning and you realised that someone had been in your space.
Yeah.
And that it happened all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't feel safe being by yourself.
Yeah.
So maybe picture yourself, checking for where your keys are and where your wallet is, and check into your stomach, because you would have had a fearful feeling in your stomach then as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you still have that from that event?
Just that bit of...
Just a little bit still?
Tightness.
Yep. And what's left of it? Is it still fear? Has it changed? Are you now angry at them? Are you disappointed, or it's still fear?
Just disappointed that it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
No.
So is it still the same, or it's a little bit less?
Less.
Does it feel different?
It's kind of here.
It's a bit higher?
Well, before it was that in your stomach.
Yeah.
Like you could not be sick, but that...
Unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So what's it feel like now?
It's kind of moving out.
It's not so...
No.
So it's relaxing a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. So even though I still have a little bit of fear.
I still have a little bit of fear.
Trapped in my stomach.
Trapped in my stomach.
From the unit story.
From the unit story.
When I picture myself.
When I picture myself.
Searching for my keys.
Searching for my keys.
And searching for my wallet.
Searching for my wallet.
I can feel that fear.
I can feel that fear.
Coming back into my stomach.
Coming back into my stomach.
It's not as bad as it was.
It's not as bad as it was.
It's not as tight.
It's not as tight.
But it's still there a little bit.
But it's still there a little bit.
I choose to release and dissolve that today.
I choose to release and dissolve that today.
Even though
I
still have a reaction.
I still have a reaction.
To what happened in that unit that morning.
To what happened in that unit that morning.
Or that night.
That night.
But my reaction to that in the morning.
But my reaction to that in the morning.
That fear that's frozen in my stomach.
That fear that's frozen in my stomach.
It's getting lighter.
It's getting lighter.
But there's still a little bit left there.
But there's still a little bit left there.
I choose to tell my body.
I choose to tell my body.
It's safe.
It's safe.
And okay to release that.
And it's okay to release that.
Even though I still have a little bit of that fear.
I still have a little bit of that fear.
That frozen fear.
That frozen fear.
Stuck in my stomach.
Stuck in my stomach.
From all the way back then.
From all the way back then.
When I was in my unit by myself.
When I was in my unit by myself.
At night time.
At night time.
When some people came to steal some rum.
When people come to steal some rum.
And it made me feel really fearful.
It made me feel really fearful.
And if it can happen again.
If it can happen again.
It may happen in the future again.
It may happen in the future again.
Okay. Even though I still have that feeling.
I still have that feeling.
In my stomach.
In my stomach.
It's a fearful feeling.
It's a fearful feeling.
But it's getting lighter.
But it's getting lighter.
It's not as tight.
It's not as tight.
But it feels like it's spreading out a little bit.
But it feels like it's spreading out.
I'm ready to let it go today.
I'm ready to let it go today.
I've had enough of it.
I've had enough of it.
I've carried it for a long time now.
I've carried it for a long time now.
And it's affecting my sleep.
And it's affecting my sleep.
Which is affecting my body.
Which is affecting my body.
It's okay for me to feel safe.
It's okay for me to feel safe.
It's okay for me to feel safe at night time.
It's okay for me to feel safe at night time.
I'm open to thinking that no one's going to walk in that door.
That no one's going to walk in that door.
No one's going to walk in my house.
No one's going to walk in my house.
No one's going to come in drunk.
No one's going to come in drunk.
No one's going to be in there unexpectedly.
No one's going to be in there unexpectedly.
They're not going to give me a fright.
They're not going to give me a fright.
Because there's no one there to worry me.
Because there's no one there to worry me.
It's safe for me to let this go.
It's safe for me to let this go.
It's time for me to let this go.
It's time for me to let this go.
Especially now I know where it's coming from.
Especially now I know where it's coming from.
I thank my body.
I thank my body.
For keeping that fear.
For keeping that fear.
In my stomach.
In my stomach.
Because it thought that it was protecting me.
Because it thought it was protecting me.
But I'm letting it know.
But I'm letting it know.
The odds of that happening again.
The odds of that happening again.
Are very low.
Are very low.
And I want to breathe easy.
And I want to breathe easy.
And I want that feeling out of my stomach.
And I want that feeling out of my stomach.
It's okay for me to feel safe.
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 Deep breath. Close your eyes. Go back to the unit, and you've just woken up, and you've just realised that you can't find your keys, and you can't find your wallet, and you've just realised that someone's been in the house. Tune into your stomach.
I feel nothing.
You feel nothing?
I feel nothing.
Nothing in the stomach? No?
No.
No charge? No?
Just normal.
Just normal?
Mm.
Yep. So we're at a zero?
We're at zero.
In the feeling? So, okay, so you go back to the dorm room. A man barges in. He's drunk. He's taken you by surprise. It was unexpected.
Yeah.
And you're there in your jammies, which no woman wants a man to see it. So you probably got fright by that. So you're looking at him. What are you feeling?
Nothing.
Tune into your stomach.
Nothing.
Nothing. It's gone?
It's gone.
Yeah. So they're both gone. So they're both down to a zero?
Yes.
Okay, so close your eyes. And picture yourself going home tonight. And your husband's got to go away. So it's just you. And look at the front door. How are you feeling about the front door? Do you feel like someone's going to unexpectedly come in? Do you have the phone in your hand still, waiting to hear a sound?
Probably.
It's probably tap on that now. It's become a habit that I carry the phone around the house.
I take it to the toilet when I get up during the night.
Yep. Okay, so are you willing to accept that it may take a couple of days, but it may happen that you don't have to do that anymore?
Yeah.
Does that feel a little bit more lighter, as in before you were like, no, I need to take it, that's my safety blanket?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're open to the fact that, okay, so even though I've worked on my fear. That was trapped in my stomach. About being home by myself at night time. Especially when my husband's not home. And it's no longer there. Not from back in the dorm room.
Back in the dorm room.
It's not back there from the unit.
But
it's still a little bit there thinking of me being home by myself.
Still a little bit there thinking of being home by myself.
Especially when Monique wants me to put that phone away. That didn't feel quite safe. I didn't feel like I could quite do that yet. I accept all of my feelings that I'm having. And I'm really proud of myself that I've come this far. And I'm open to thinking that I will actually get there one day soon. Even though I don't have any of that fear left in my stomach. I still don't like to think that I could put that phone away. It's still a little bit of a security blanket for me. I still have a little bit of what if. And what if it did happen? At least I have my phone in my hand. I'm willing to accept that this will fade slowly. To nothing. And I'll feel safe in my own house. By myself. Even though I am nearly there. I can feel the shift. And I know where all of this has come from. And it sits okay in my logical brain. But my fear of my body had taken over for so long that it's going to, it has left a pattern. That's going to take a few days or a few weeks to release completely. And I'm willing to wait for it to do that. I'm excited. I'm excited to think that I can get rid of this. I don't need that fear. I don't want that fear. It's understandable why I had it. I can understand from my stories that have come up. But that was all the way back then. And the likelihood of that happening again is very low. I want to give myself a chance. To feel safe. By myself. And I'm no longer wondering what it would feel like. I can't wait to feel it. Because I know it's coming. I'm giving my body permission. To take the next couple of days. To release and process whatever's left. In its good time. I have to remember. I've been carrying it for a long time. And patterning. Sits in our cells. And it's going to take a couple of days to release. And I'm super duper excited.
I am super duper excited.
I can't wait to have a good night's sleep. And I could maybe even put down the phone. One day in the future. I'm excited about that. I can't wait for that. Releasing and dissolving whatever's left.
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 How does that feel? Does it feel like, no way, there's no way I could do that?
No,
or is it like, okay,
I can.
Yeah. So close your eyes. So we need to test it. So you're in your jammies, you're at home tonight, and you're looking at the front door, and you have the phone in your hand. You're not hearing anything. There's nothing to be heard. There's nothing there to make you feel like there's anybody out there. You're just looking at the door, and it's almost like you're waiting for something, and you've got the phone in your hand. How fearful are you feeling?
Not at all.
Not at all? 0?
0.
Yeah, 0. Beautiful. Well, that's what we wanted.
Nothing.
Yeah. So nothing. Nothing when we go back to the dorm room. Nothing when we go back to the unit.
No.
Nothing when you're standing in your house.
No.
Yeah. And then we've put in there, okay, we're not ready to put the phone down yet, but we're open to the possibility, okay, you could be, might be able to do that. So it feels safe.
Feels safe.
To be home by yourself at night time, alone.